Hey there friends, Cassie from Grace and Goals here. So today I want to share with you how I use 2 sets of power sheets together. Now a few months ago I was delighted to have been asked by Team Cultivate to review the 90-day power sheets. You know, I had been entertaining the idea of using 2 sets of power sheets for probably a year or so. One for my personal goals, one for my platform stuff, but my main concern was that if I had 2 sets of power sheets that I would overcommit and fill both tending lists, which would not just be unrealistic and unachievable, but it would set me up to crash and burn. And when I saw the layout of the 90-day power sheets, I said, you know what, I think this is worth a try. And spoiler alert, I loved it and I'm never going back. But today I want to share with you kind of how I use them together, what I like, what I don't like, and what I'm going to continue doing in seasons to come. So I want to take you into my power sheets and just give you a better look. So the first overview is that the 90-day power sheets are intended for 90 days. The yearly power sheets are intended for a year. So that means that one is going to cover you for the whole year. One, you would need 4 sets to make a whole year out of. That's honestly the biggest difference. The other huge piece, in the 90 days, you have this beautiful weekly spread for all of the weeks, and you have your tending list. The tending list is much smaller, but it's great. It's undated, so you can use it for whenever you want. So that's the 90-day power sheets. I determined that I needed to really put in boundaries for myself so that I wouldn't end up just filling both tending lists and setting myself up to fail. So the first way that I did that was by using my Brainstorm Your Month page in my yearly power sheets to create both tending lists. So the page that I'm talking about here, I normally cover it with a wild card after, but I like to use this Brainstorm Your Month page, and I will list out everything for both lists. And I just will highlight the ones that are going to be going in my 90-day, but this allows me to see everything on one page and really determine, is this achievable or is this not? And making sure that I'm not filling up a ton of just tasks and lines that I'm not going to be able to complete. So that was probably one of the most helpful things that I did, because it allowed me to just see everything all at once so that I didn't overcommit. And ultimately for me, I have kind of said that my 90-day power sheets are kind of a glorified break it down page. So in months prior, what I would do for these goals is I would have them all listed in my tending list, and then I would make break it down pages for each of those goals. So what I love about using the 90-day power sheets is that I'm able to pretty much break it all down there into monthly, weekly, and daily tasks, which is really nice. Just made that simpler for me so that it wasn't just constantly seeing the goal, having to go to a breakdown page. It's all right there. So once I've done that and I've gone through the Brainstorm Your Month page, I've determined what I'm putting in there. 2 kind of fail-safe methods that help me not forget about one set of power sheets to the other, because that was also one of my concerns. So I built in 2 check-ins to help me stay accountable to going into both of these tending lists each day. So the first that I did is I list out every single month what goals I have. So the first thing always on my list is Grace and Goals goals, and I map it out here, as you can see in my one from this month as we just started. I also will separate the bars for 5 goals because I have 5 monthly goals this month in there. So that's really helpful. The second check-in that I have is every single day it says check Grace and Goals power sheets. So that just helps me remember to open this up, go into it, check things out, and use it. Now, because the weekly planning pages are in the 90-day power sheets, it really is something where I use that every single day. So I do typically check in, but it's still helpful for me to have that reminder of, hey, go back, make sure you're in there, you're checking things off, you're holding yourself accountable. But as I said, that one wasn't too hard because I was using it every day. So there are my top 5 things that I have loved about both of these. This is my finished set. This is the current set that I'm using. I would say, again, first off, I just love these weekly spread pages. I mean, they're just so handy. You have your days of the week, your weekend, a to-do list, and a notes section to it. And what I used to do every week when I'd plan out my week in advance, I would go through my tending list and I would use the this week sticky notepad sheets. I would make one for my personal goals, one for my platform goals, and I had been doing that for probably a solid 2 years now. So because this is here, it's almost like literally having a bigger version of the weekly sticky notepad, which I can pull it down so you can see the whole thing. But that's the whole page if you have one of those. So what I did is I just put my personal goals. I still did one on this, and then I listed all of the other tasks for my Grace and Goals there, and then I just stuck it in here so it would all be in one place. That's probably my favorite part about these, is that I have the ability to do that because it's so much easier than using 2 sticky notepads. And I personally move all of my content strategy into the corner, and then each day I put in a top priority. I try to plan that out on that Sunday when I go to get ready for my week, and I have a whole video on that if you want to see it, where I show you exactly what I do every single Sunday to prepare for the week ahead. But I will pick one top priority that I want to get done. I'll fill that in. I typically only do 4 days of the week out of 5, just to build in more grace for myself in knowing that my week is probably going to get shifted around and changed. So I kind of have one day as a catch-up day if it's a really light schedule day. So I just put in my top priority and I figure everything else out as I go. Every morning I use these, I grab my Today notepad, and I just put everything in there. So that's how I use the weekly spread. Again, that's probably my favorite part. My second favorite feature in the 90-day power sheets are the ability to have full goal action planning pages each quarter. And almost all of my goals for just platform itself are finish line goals. They're really things that have a very specific end goal, end result, and by having full goal action pages in here, it allows me to get really detailed and really, really specific. So this is an empty page. It's just like the ones that you have in your yearly, except it's obviously a little bit smaller. And I like to go through, I put everything in, and then I like to use break it down notepad to just put in everything that needs to be done to accomplish this. And then, when I'm choosing what I want to do each month, I go through these to determine what's going to be best. But this has been so helpful for me because there are some goals or habits or things that I'm growing in my personal life that I don't need full action plans for, but most of my finish line goals do. So being able to every 90 days do this is so, so helpful. And then I've loved getting my main calendar back in my yearly power sheets. So I now use the spread as a content plan. I was doing this in my yearly, but it is so much easier to have it all here. So every single thing that I'm working on just goes into these power sheets, and that has just been a dream. And I also will say I was unsure originally if I was going to use the month in review in here. Again, it's the same as what's in your current power, like the yearly power sheets, just smaller. And I surprisingly loved having a month in review just for platform things so that I could be more detailed and put in more specific memories and moments from the month and things that I'm learning along the way. So that was a surprise to me. I did not think that I was going to use it, but I actually really like it, and I do. So that's been really sweet. And finally, I love having so many blank pages. So if you look at a monthly spread, I'll show you. So you have your calendar, you have your brainstorm, your prepare, and your tending list. Then you have 2 blank pages here. You have all your weekly spreads. And then you have your month in review and another notes page. But in the back, you have all these added pages that just allow you to dig in, and that has just been so helpful because I used to have a separate journal that I kept thoughts and ideas and just things that I was working on, and now it's all in one place, and that has been vital to what I'm doing. Now, there are a couple things I didn't care for in the 90-day power sheets, and in my opinion, the biggest downside to the 90-day power sheets is having to do all of the prep work every 90 days. And the pages are smaller, so that makes the prep work lighter in general, but for me, it is not practical to do the prep work every single quarter. So that is why I use my yearly power sheets. I use the refresh for both goals. So I, again, like the brainstorm your month where I have it all together. I virtually do the same exact thing in here, and I just like to have my whole refresh in one place, and then I'll break it down further from there. So I only do my prep work in the yearly power sheets, and then at the start of the year I'll do the full set of prep work in here, but then the rest of the sets I do a handful of pages to help me break the goals down further that were in my refresh, but I don't go through the prep work all over again because it just isn't practical for me at this point. And then the other thing that I have had to change is that the Cultivated Life evaluation, if I'm using this just for business, it doesn't really transfer over well. So what I did, which is some quick tending tape, I made my own categories, and they're things like Instagram, newsletters, accountability collective, free resources, all those kind of things, and that just helps me continue to evaluate how and where I'm growing. And I think, in all these things and looking at all of it, I have determined, as I said, I'm still going to do my prep work in here, I'm going to do my refresh in here, and then I'm going to just use a select amount of the planning pages. And if you head to the blog, I literally list out every single one of the pages I choose to do in case you would like to do something similar. But the biggest piece that I have loved that I'm going to continue doing is I have my goals here, and the platform goal is cultivate diligence. So what I do in my power sheets now, I'll take that one piece and I'll break that down. So cultivate diligence, and then I will go through and prep all of the goals and then do the goal action planning pages. So that's how there's another connection to the two and breaking it down. But I have absolutely loved using 2 sets of power sheets, and I think it's really important if you're determining if you want to use 2 sets, if you only want to use 1 set. I really think that unless you have a very, very, very specific purpose for using a second set of power sheets, that I wouldn't do it. And if I didn't have a majority of finish line goals and those kind of things, it also, I don't think, would have worked for me as well. So that's just my opinion. I still use the break it down notepad pages in here. I love that, again, they fit in here. All of their notepads that are the, I think, 8x5 all fit inside here, which is really nice. And if you are thinking about using 2 sets and you're not sure if it's going to be worth the investment, way before, because as I said, I've been doing this for about a year, I actually made a wildcard that's available on the Grace and Goals wildcard page. It's also linked in the blog post that I share about how I use these 2 together, where it's almost like a mini tending list, I guess, but it's for your platform. So if you want to kind of test the waters, you can print that for free on there. So that's how I use 2 sets of power sheets. Again, I've really, really loved it. And I cannot wait to see what you order on launch day, and know that this year, if you order through my link, through Cultivate, I am going to send you a free masterclass on some mindsets to help you just dig deep and focus in as we prepare to add grace to our goals this upcoming year. And I am having pre-orders available if you want custom bookmarks with your word of the year or just whatever you want on there. So all the details are at the link in my bio, but I'd love to know, are you going to plan to try to use 2 power sheets? Do you know which one you want to use? If you're not sure which set is right for you and you're going back and forth wondering, should I go with the 90-day versus the yearly, and you're not sure which of the 2 you want to use, feel free to message me. I'd love to tell you more about it and help you determine what would be best for you. So yeah, we're getting ready for launch day, and I hope this video was helpful to you as you figure out how to best navigate using power sheets best, so that you can continue to cultivate what matters right in the middle of the mess, right where you are, no matter how uncertain the season, because we know that you can live an intentional life no matter how uncertain the season.